This might seem like a normal level, but is that really? Well, what if I told you that this level has less than 100,000 objects, or even 10,000 objects? But would you believe me if I told you that this level has less than 1,000 objects? But how is that possible? The answer to this question can be found in optimization. And this is what we're gonna be looking at in today's video. I'm going to show you how optimization works and how you can use it yourself. Let's begin. Geometry Dash is a very unoptimized game. Many people suffer from extreme lag issues. And because Rotop isn't going to do anything about it for a very long time, creators have to find solutions to this problem themselves. And this is where optimization becomes useful. And its goals are to increase the FPS and decrease the amount of objects. But that's basically the same, because with less objects you get less lag. But how do you decrease lag? To answer this question, we need to look at what causes lag. The most obvious answer is the amount of objects in your level. With more objects in a level, your device will have to calculate a lot more. And that is also the reason why you want to have as few objects in your level as possible. But how do you achieve that? There are multiple ways on how to deal with this problem. The easiest way is probably to scale objects. With this example, you can see how effective this method is. It can even be more effective by scale hacking certain objects like the square. But for this to work you need external tools like Hack. But for people that don't really have an easy access to these programs, it might be very difficult to use scale hack. And that is why I made a level with important scaled objects that are free to use. The ID of this level can be found on screen. But if you don't want to rely on scaled objects too much, there are also other ways on how to decrease objects. So another way on how to decrease objects in your level is by using every available object in the editor. Because there are a lot of objects that are often being overlooked, but they have a lot of potential to be used very efficiently. I can give you a few examples. These objects can make an efficient line. And you can also scale them to make it more optimized. You can also use text as decoration since it only takes up one object. And here you've got an easy and optimized chain with only 5 objects. Furthermore, with the same line as before, and these objects that kind of resemble branches, you are able to make a very efficient and optimized tree. So you can see there are lots of possibilities with all the objects in the editor. Even many popular names like Kuluk and Woozy use this trick to save up objects. Next, another way on how to decrease objects is by using spawn triggers. If you have no clue what a spawn trigger is, I'll tell you what it does. As you can see, the spawn trigger is able to activate any trigger from any point in the level. That sounds not so useful, but there is a feature called multi-activate. That makes it that multiple spawn triggers are able to activate the same triggers from any point in a level. You can imagine yourself the spawn trigger to be something like a variable. And its values are the triggers that it activates. But what if the spawn trigger that activates other triggers activates itself? Well, this would be called a spawn loop. It's an important feature for optimization. That's because you only have to place the original triggers a single time in the level, but can activate them as often as you like. And now let's come to the last feature that's able to save up objects. And that's the usage of move and rotate triggers. But how does this save objects, you might ask? Well, let's look at the level that I previously showed you. You might have noticed that the structures look very similar to each other. And that is because they are the same. But how do you make it that the exact same object appears at different locations in the level? You can do this with the help of move triggers. As soon as the object leaves the screen, you can move it to another location outside of the screen. Here you can see an example on how to use it properly. When an object has left the screen, a move trigger instantaneously moves it to the new location. The more objects you move with a single move trigger, the more optimized your level gets. But with the same part, you might have also been able to see that the structures aren't actually the same, but they are rotated 180 degrees. And that is done by using rotate triggers. This method doesn't actually save any objects, but makes it look less repetitive. And with that, I conclude all the methods on how to decrease objects in your levels. First, it's the scaling of objects. Secondly, it's the usage of every object in the editor. Thirdly, it's the usage of spawn triggers. And lastly, it's to reutilize the objects previously in the level. Now that you know how to use less objects, let's look on other ways how to decrease lag. So lag can also be caused by move and rotate triggers that go on for a very long time. Well, you might remember from the previous section that I said that move and rotate triggers are able to decrease the amount of objects. So why do they cause lag? So this has something to do with the duration of these triggers. If you have a move trigger with a duration of 0, the game will only have to calculate the movement a single time. But when you have a move trigger or a rotate trigger with a long duration, the game will always have to calculate the movement. So if you have a lot of move triggers activated at the same time, it will likely cause a lot of lag. And you can solve this problem just by using less move triggers that are working for a long time. And with this, I conclude all the major things that cause lags in your level. And that's only the amount of objects and the duration of the move trigger. That's actually not a lot, so optimization can be very straightforward. So I think you're able to do it in your levels as well. There are even a lot of people that challenge themselves to make levels with a lot less objects than regularly. Since there are lots of amazing levels with less than 1000 objects, and there are even a few featured levels that go as far as making levels with less than 100 objects. But you might be wondering, what's even the benefit in putting more effort into optimizing your level? Well, there are actually a few. First, the most obvious answer is that it allows every player on every device, on every hardware to play your level. Since your goal with the levels is probably to make it so that people can play them, I think it's pretty fair to make it so that people can run them on every device. The next reason could be that these levels receive a lot of attention. An example to this could be the popular creator Kulu. He's popular for his insane decoration style, but also for his optimization skills. The last but not least reason is that RobTop more often rates levels that are really well optimized. The chances of getting a featured level are definitely higher when having a really optimized level. So these were the reasons why you should start optimizing your levels. And I hope I could help you with optimizing your levels in the first place. And with your new knowledge, I wish you the best of luck with your creations. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Goodbye.